Welcome to the Daily Review. This is Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CMTrading, and today is September 12th, 2024, and today is Thursday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, markets rebounding, at least for now, but first looking at today's major economic events. So we start out the day at 2:30 South African time. From the United States, we have a Producers Price Index, PPI, that's an inflation report on the producer side, and then at 2:45 South African time. Out of the European Union, we have the ECB, the European Central Bank, will be having a mean refinancing rate. Now looking at the markets, starting out with the Forex symbols, the major pairs really consolidating. As we shift over to the indices, the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ both get a rebound. Now looking at commodities, gold unchanged and on resistance-ish level, while oil gets a bounce from its low. Now looking at the stocks, this is where it gets very interesting. As we look at Microsoft, and we saw Nvidia and Meta all gain, while we're watching JP Morgan still very weak. And lastly, looking at cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin gets a bounce as well. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go. First with the Euro USD. Now it's not doing much. It's consolidating, okay? But it is an important point, especially since the ECB is coming out with their rate decision today. So this may be a catalyst to get a bounce. Let's see, okay? But you do want to know your levels so that if there is some volatility, if we break support here, we could see ourselves going back to 109.40-ish level or even more, okay? Because in volatility kind of environments, we're in 100, 150 pip range, at least sometimes, okay? Looking at the GBP, also the same story. We're retracing. We didn't do much, okay? We're almost at supportish level. We're hanging out here until this number comes out. Remember, next week we have the FOMC as well. Now, looking at the Japanese yen, also retraced a bit, and it still has some room to go for support level, but it's still at the bottom of its range. Now, jumping to commodities, gold rallies back to its resistance-ish level, 25.17. Not doing much, okay? Now, the last time I thought we were going to take it a little bit higher, we got almost to our highs, but we didn't, okay? Now, it keeps on teasing us with, it's rebounding, but this is something to keep an eye on as well as it may still retrace. Now, looking at crude oil, we got a bounce, a decent bounce from 65 up to $67 a barrel, almost 68. So that's almost $3 bounce, $2.50 bounce. It's a decent bounce for crude oil. But this could still test its lows, so keep an eye on it as that can still happen. Now, jumping into the U.S. markets, Dow Jones. Look at that comeback, 800 points to the upside just this past week. Okay, so that's a big comeback. We are at resistance-ish level, so keep that in mind on the Dow. Now, looking at the NASDAQ, it bounced even more relative. Remember, it bounced off of that 200-day moving average. Now, is this sustainable? Is it still in a downwards momentum? Perhaps. Now, to look at this, you have to look at the individual stocks. When we look at Microsoft, a nice push to the upside, still way off of our all-time record highs, but did get a push. Okay, if we look at Meta, also got a nice little bounce there as well. However, take a look at JP Morgan. Not much of a bounce. Okay, this is where I get a little bit concerned because maybe the markets are softening up, which is going to be a precursor to some sort of sell-off. So keep that in mind. Now, lastly, let's take a look at Nvidia, as that also did have a nice move upwards, okay, to 114. That's a pretty big comeback, okay, almost testing its lows. Now, if I can't scroll out of it to show it to you, but it almost hit a double bottom at this area at $100 a share. And now it looks on the MACD or on the RSI, it looks like it's overbought. So keep this in mind, all right? So it's been very resilient in this atmosphere. Lastly, Bitcoin also got a bounce to 58K from its 54-ish, 52-ish level. And that's also very important. So markets are just bouncing here. Let's see if it's a dead cat bounce and we're going to go back down or it's going to sustain itself. This is Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.